with 61A-1. Item 61B, agenda item, will be replaced with 61B-1, and that is it.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Longoria.
Yes, item number 61A and B is an improper item.
Okay.
Because I understand this was submitted by the board attorney. So I request that it be null and void.
Okay, that request is, what's your reasoning again?
It was submitted by the board attorney,
And
and he's not authorized to submit agenda items.
your objection is so noted, but it will not.
As per policy, if you read the policy, only the board president and the superintendent and trustees are authorized to submit agenda items.
Okay, it is consultation with attorney. Your objection is so noted. Mrs. Pesas?
I feel the same way, sir. And then also, on another hand, I believe if the attorney placed this agenda item, if we're here to abide by policy and procedure, sir, we need to do that. As elected officials, I think that the people needs for us and expects for us to follow policies at all times. And we can no longer continue to deviate from that. Not just that, but when he submitted his written agenda, apparently he must have had a typo or was not aware of how he was submitting the agenda item, and he is correcting the agenda item on the day of the meeting. So I concur with Ms. Longoria, and you know, for the record, and I don't know really how my colleagues feel about it, but if we don't abide by policies, that's pretty shameful.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Your objection is noted. Do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by Mr. Powers to approve item 5. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Chinos. I will momentarily open the floor for the vote. And we may vote. Okay, and the motion passes 3-2. Moving on to consent agenda, I have received word from my colleagues that we will discuss and or deliberate the following agenda items.
Mr. President, can I ask you for something before you move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Under item number 61A, I would like to ask that this item be discussed in public. So if it is about me and he's got something to say about me as the attorney, who he has no right, again, as per policy, to place an agenda item, I would like for this item to be discussed publicly. Because
Okay.
I have nothing to hide, and I want to be as, transparent as we all should be here. And if it's gonna be discussed, I will not go to executive session, and I caution,
Right.
he seems to be a little bit not knowledgeable about school law. That's how I feel. And I've already done research, and I prefer that this item be discussed. I don't know how Ms. Longoria feels, but I want it publicly.
Well, it's your item, not Mrs. Longoria's,
Correct.
unless
Well,
she
this
feels
is
the
mine.
same way.
On mine.
I
on
feel
mine.
the same way.
Okay,
Move into open session.
okay, if it's okay, I would rather not, but I'll give you that prerogative. Council, is that okay with you, Dr. Montoya?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
again, I would rather not, because it's negative information, but if that's how you
That's-
feel,
That's
then
fine, you're
with me.
violating policy left and right already anyway, so.
So it
Okay,
doesn't matter, whatever they say.
60 that's right, 61 will go to open session, Counselor.
that's fine. I mean, the reason I put it in executive session because the matter is rather sensitive, one, and we are an educational organization, and I don't think we're gonna have any benefit by exposing dirty laundry, number one. Number two, it deals with privileged information. It deals with an ongoing criminal investigation, and it also deals with attorney-client privileges. So for those reasons, I would ask the board to reconsider that and do it outside. But again, if the two trustees want to air out the dirty language, I'm perfectly fine.
Laundry, sir, not
and I would-
language, laundry.
And I would love to engage them in that.
If I may, I'm fine with it, and I don't have any dirty laundry to hide or anything. As you mentioned, privileged information, which you have violated the policy
Okay,
again.
we're not gonna discuss
Releasing
this. There will be, Mrs.
privileged
Longoria,
information
Mrs.
on your
Longoria,
own without action
we're
of
not
the
gonna
board.
discuss it. We'll simply discuss an open session and we move on. So again, with that said, with that stipulation that that item will be discussed in open session, do I have a motion to approve item 7? Yes, ma'am?
Circle the consent agenda.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, we got sidetracked there on something unrelated. We will discuss and or deliberate the following agenda items. 10, 12, 14, 31, okay, moving on to item 61A, originally intended for a closed session, but moved to open forum. Discussion and consideration regarding the censorship of board member Catalina P. Garcia. I'll open the floor to board counsel, Mr. Salazar.
Thank you, Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya. The reason that I placed this item on the agenda is because I have a duty to this board to make sure that the policies are being followed, number one, and number two, that not only local policy, state policy, and also the law, that it's followed. And again, my preference was to bring this in closed session, but I will start off with Ms. Presas Garcias. I'm asking the board to censure Ms. Presas Garcias for the second time. Ms. Garcia is an elected official. She must follow Texas Education Code, and I've spelled it out for the president. There's also local policy, BBF local, BBE local, and BBE legal. And basically, my accusation to Ms. Garcia is that she's violated the Code of Ethics, board policy, and not limited to these sections, okay? She has openly called me, board attorney, untruthful, incompetent, questioned my abilities. She's been very disrespectful. She has used some very provocative sexual innuendos. When I have been in front of Dr. Montoya, she has made the comment that if I really want to know her, I need to sleep with her a couple of nights.
Excuse
and
me?
I would please.
Counselor, you have the floor.
And again, if in fact I would have made that comment, I would have been fired immediately. If any administrator would have made that comment, they would have been fired pretty much on the stand. There have been some gestures that Ms. Presas has made to me in this parking lot after meetings on at least one occasion. She followed me after the meeting and followed me and was confronting me, and again, was making some very derogatory gestures with her hands, telling me that I didn't know who she was, and I will not repeat the gestures because I believe they're obscene. She has used very vulgar language in front of me. After the last meeting that we had, we were in Dr. Montoya's office, and again, she made these comments that I was lying to the board, that I was lying to her. That's not true. She's also has continuously, on at least 10 occasions, continued to talk that I have some type of interest with Mr. Mike Saldana and Mr. Rick Sayas, and I have every single time told Ms. Presas, I have not spoken with Mr. Rick Sayas for over 5 years. And when I did, it was in a personal matter. I've never spoken to Mr. Sayas on BISD matter. I've spoken with Mr. Mike Saldana in reference to a pending litigation, which he represented the district at one time. I have not spoken with him, and these accusations just keep coming over and over. The other thing that Ms. Presas continues to say is, just wait till the 17 months are over. When this board changes, I'm gonna fire you. I mean, basically, in my opinion, she's opening this district up for a lawsuit. And again, I have a contract, I'm gonna abide by my contract, but for Ms. Presas, you think, Ms. Presas, that I'm gonna be your punching bag, I'm not, okay? I'm not your punching bag. I am working for the board as a whole. The other thing is, you have had some meetings at the superintendency. You've called me at 9 o'clock in the morning and told me, you better get here because you work for me. Ms. Presas, I do not work for you, okay? I work for the board as a whole. I do not work for any individual member. The other thing, the more disturbing part, aside from the vulgarities that you use, aside from your unprofessionalism, the other part that really bothers me is that we have a case pending right now, and the adjuster called me and said, the female board member called me and wanted me to make sure that I indemnified a third party. And that third party, that's the same adjuster that called me and told me that Mr. Barr, your prior attorney, Ms. Garcia, called him the week before. The only one that would have that privileged information would be us in executive session, so you violate executive session. You've also jeopardized the school district in placing the district in a position where you are interfering with the superintendent's ability, my ability, and the staff attorney's ability to defend the school district. So you cannot continue, Ms. Garcia, to meddle into especially our insurance coverage. As you know, it was very difficult for us to get insurance this year, very difficult. And for you to go in and start sabotaging our own part. And I told the adjuster, we're not going to cover Daffenbaum, which happens to have the same attorney, Mr. John Barr, which represented you personally, and who's also called me for indemnification. Ms. Garcia, indemnification in the state of Texas for a school district is illegal. You cannot do it. And for you to push your personal agenda on our adjusters, first, you're interfering with our litigation. Second, that's not your place. That's what the district has an attorney. I've instructed the adjuster not to talk to you anymore. Now, you've also,
How much time does he have, sir? Because we're supposed to be on a time frame here.
He has time, Counselor.
How many minutes does he have? sir?
He's not a board member, ma'am. Mr. Counselor,
Well,
you have the
know
floor.
When is it gonna be my time to defend myself, sir?
the other items, which I think is, today was a very showing example when another board member said, and you may have said this, we call TEA. Ms. Garcia, you do not have the authority to call TEA. If you have a question, I can't stop you, but if you have a question, you must follow the protocol. You must either ask the president of the organization to bring that to my attention, or the superintendent. I would be more than glad to ask for an attorney general opinion. I would be more than glad to ask TEA for any type of recommendation, clarification, but it must go through proper procedures. You're not following the proper procedures. So when you go out and call TEA, and you mentioned this name, I think another board member has also mentioned Mr. Rollins at TEA. Well, Mr. Rollins is not attorney for TEA. He's the guy that picks up the phone at TEA. Okay, and this threat has been over and over and over. We spoke to TEA. Well, guess what? In your capacity as a board member, you cannot, unless you've been appointed by the board as a whole, or if you're the board president. So this activity, Ms. Garcia, I think at the very least requires a censure, and I'm asking the board to censure because, one, it's extremely unprofessional, and I don't think that this school district, such a great district, has great administrators, great children. First of all, they shouldn't be put through this unprofessional character that we have on the board.
Thank you, Counselor. And we're not going to get into discussion match. We can say our piece and then we move on. Comments or questions from the board? No. With that said, do I have a motion to approve item 61A? I have a motion by Mr. Powers to approve item 61A. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Chirinos. I will momentarily open the floor for a vote. And vote. And the motion passes 3-2. Moving on to 61B, discussion and consideration regarding censorship of board member Lucy B. Longoria. I'll yield the floor to board counsel, Mr. Salazar.
Thank you, Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya. Again, this involves, to me, are very, very, very critical ethical violations, because when my accusation, I'm asking this board to censure Ms. Longoria, and the reason Ms. Longoria is because everything we speak about in executive session, it's privileged, okay? You're not at liberty to go out and talk to the person that we're investigating. You're not at liberty. The last meeting that we had, as you know, and again, I didn't want to bring this up in open session because there is an ongoing criminal investigation that involves at least 2 law enforcement agencies and a prosecutorial agency. I can tell you that. And these are matters that we discuss in closed session. It's privilege, it's attorney-client privilege. You cannot go out the next morning and bring the person of interest up to the superintendent's office and ask me to talk to that person or ask the superintendent, because that is privileged information. You don't have that ability. Like I told you, I have no problem discussing any criminal matter, any matter in executive session with the board approval. But if you break that, and again, this is an incident that occurred, and I think pretty familiar with it, but my position is that one, you've broken that fiduciary duty. When you became a board member, you raised your right hand and you swore you're gonna follow the rules, you're gonna be ethical, and basically you're breaking the rules. You're disclosing privileged information that is discussed in executive session. Now further, you're discussing information or you want to discuss information that has to do with law enforcement. We gotta follow the laws, Ms. Longoria. And the last thing is, again, today was a perfect example. You said, we contacted TEA. Well, Ms. Longoria, if you want to contact TEA as an individual, you can. I can't stop you. But as a board member, you cannot. You must go through either the board president, and if the board president designates you and says, Mrs. Longoria, we're going to designate you and you can call Mr. Rollins, one of your favorite TEA persons, then that's fine. If that's it, and if the board wants to instruct me to contact TEA, I will. But when you start going out on your own, making your own investigations, Ms. Longoria, it's improper. You're breaking attorney-client privilege and you're breaking executive session. So for those reasons, Mr. President, I'm asking that the board censure Ms. Longoria.
Okay,
With
now
that
it's
said,
my
I'll open
turn.
it up for discussion. Mrs. Longoria?
Now it's my turn to rebuttal.
Why didn't you give me the opportunity to speak, sir?
I did. Mrs.
No, you
Longoria?
didn't,
You have
sir.
the floor.
No, you didn't. You did not allow me to defend myself, sir.
Mrs. Longoria, you have the floor.
Okay. Mr. Baltasar, I understand, I've worked in the district 33 years, and I understand that what's discussed in executive session is confidential, privileged and confidential. I know that very well. You do not have to tell me. And what you have accused me of violating policies and laws and unethical, well, I can say the same about you. And I have proof. You show me the proof where I violated what was discussed in executive session. Can you show me that right now here in public so everyone can see?
Yes, you took the person of interest with this investigation, that the only persons that knew that was this board
Okay.
and the superintendent.
And did
You
you-
took, hold on a minute, you took that person and basically wanted me to confront that person from the superintendent. If you want to break that privilege, that's fine with Longoria. I am not going to do it. You can't do that, okay?
Did
So
you hear my conversation with this person? Did you hear me tell her exactly what was said in executive session?
you told her in front of the superintendent, Mr. Salazar, tell this, and I'm not going to mention her name, tell this lady that she's under criminal investigation.
I did not say that. You're a liar. You're
Okay,
lying.
we're not going to go in the back
Well,
of
I
shouting
need to
back and forth.
clarify this, so you need to give me the time,
Well, please
okay?
speak. We're not going to shout back and forth. You can
Okay,
speak
well, he's
with
lying.
your comment, and then we move on.
Without due respect, sir, you're lying. You are. Look, tell the public too why I requested this meeting. And even Dr. Escobedo agreed with me. You made some very serious allegations behind closed doors. And as of tonight, I still don't even know what criminal acts this person committed or those individuals committed. This is why I put this agenda item here, for you to present factual evidence, and you do not want to present anything. You didn't even want to give me the name of the law enforcement that you are contacting. You didn't even want to show me a document or letter that you wrote to TEA. And you didn't even show us that night, June 21st, whatever meeting where you first brought this up. And you have made allegations before, very similar allegations that you made that night on three other individuals. You have made allegations. You have not showed us any factual evidence. I called this person to meet me at the superintendent's office because Dr. Montoya had promised that person a job. You were supposed to have met with her, and you were supposed to have helped Dr. Montoya interview this person and see how she could help you and the district. So I called the person. I told her, you go to the superintendent's office. I did not mention, she even asked me why. I did not mention why. I said, I cannot tell you why. And you didn't want to report to the office. And I even I spoke to Dr. Montoya the night before and said, this is unfair because we're only hearing his side of the story. You only gave us your verbal accusations. You didn't show us facts. Even Dr. Escobedo agreed. Yes, we need to hear her side, her version. I said, because he's making serious allegations and probably violating her civil rights, because you have not given her the opportunity to explain or give her side of the story. When you went to the superintendent's office, well, you showed up for something else because you didn't want to show up. You didn't return my calls, and you say you work for the board. You didn't return my calls. I text you, and then you didn't even email me. You have the courtesy to say, no, I do not want to show up to this meeting. So the minute you, I don't know why you showed up. You showed up there, and I asked you. I said, sir, you need to, who's going to tell this lady or get her version, her side? I didn't mention anything, and I didn't even say anything to Dr. Montoya. When that person was there, did you see me talking to her? I was in your office. I was in your office talking to him. I didn't cross words with that person until you walked in, and I got you into the conference room. I said, Mr. Salazar, what's going to happen here? Because this lady was promised a job, and because certain board members do not want her, and now with your allegations, what's going to happen now? They said, well, I don't know. Okay, so Dr. Montoya said, I am not going to tell her anything. So one of you needs to tell her what's going on or what's going to happen or why she's not going to get the job. And I never did I tell you in front of her, Mr. Salazar, whatever you said, I forgot what you said. But you went in there and said, okay, Ms. So-and-so, the board directed me to do a criminal investigation on you. You said the board directed me. Never did the board, or maybe certain board members did. Have you all been having illegal meetings? Because we did not direct you to do a criminal investigation. You did it on your own. You went on a witch hunt or whatever you did on this person, because I know it's all political. And the purpose of this is because I have questioned your actions. Like the CTI report that you released without, that's a privilege. Private confidential
Again,
report.
I'd ask that has nothing to do with this matter.
Oh
and I
no,
think
you
that-
don't
I
follow
think that
policies
that
and
has-
procedures. The
That's
policy
another law.
states
that's
that
something else.
all I have the floor, sir. The policy states that any confidential report must be taken to the board for board action. So you are over here saying that we broke policies and laws and we're unethical. What about yourself? And you look at the policies. You're an attorney. You should know your laws and your policies. And yes, I can call TA whenever I want to. I don't need your permission. And I can call TA as a board member because the TA department is the governance department. And for the record, the man's name is Mr. Ronald Rowell, Rowell. And I call him to get his advice. And individual board members have the right to seek advice from TA or TASB. That's why we pay TASB, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, right, Mr. Dr. Montoya?
There's a fee of several
Okay.
thousand.
So all of this, and to begin with, in the first place, Mr. Salazar, you're not authorized to censor. Okay, which is it?
word is
Is
it?
it censor or censure?
Censure with a U.
Okay, because in your email,
It was a
you-
typo.
a typo, or you don't know the
No
definition.
difference.
It was a typo.
And another thing, you still don't know the definition because you're not an elected official. Only elected officials can censor other officials. For the record, in case you all didn't know that. Look it up in the dictionary.
Mr.
And this
Alrighty.
is all just a form, merely a form for the record. I want the public to know. This is merely just a form of retaliation, harassment, intimidation, and insubordination, and a personal vendetta because I have been questioning his actions without, his actions that he has taken without board action and possibly violating school policies. And have also questioned his conduct. And because of his actions, he is placing the district in legal liabilities, such as releasing confidential reports, soliciting outside attorneys without going for RFQs, or without getting board authorization to do it, and for making allegations on individuals without any facts.
Mr. Can I
So
just a few words?
on B,
Well, I need to defend myself.
well, when I asked if anyone had comments or
Well,
questions, you didn't say anything.
I was speechless, sir, because of.
Well, you were
the-
speeches. We're
well-
on 61B.
Well, okay.
Well, one more thing, and so I caution all of you that vote on this item, because this man has lied. I'm telling you, he has lied,
Ms.
and he
Longoria.
has
Mrs.
made false allegations on other individuals.
Mrs. Garcia, closing comments.
Ms. Longoria, just for the record, It is my understanding that numerous times Mr. Salazar had asked you to please ask me to have lunch with him. Am I correct or not?
Yes,
That
he
wanted
did.
to have lunch.
He did.
Never, never had I ever come on to you, sir. Never. You're lying. But let me tell you, for the record, I will defend myself, sir. And you went on record and publicly humiliated me and embarrassed me. Never did I talk to Dr. Montoya and you together. Yes, Dr. Montoya, did I just bring it up to his attention that one of the items that he had approved, and that's fine, because the time will come where I will bring my attorney and I will be defended, sir. Rest assured, because you are a liar, unethical, and let me say it publicly, you lack knowledge in school law.
Okay, Mr. Chirinos?
It is unfortunate that we have to discuss issues of this nature in
Open
the
session, yeah.
open session in this nature. It is imperative that we don't, we haven't had the opportunity to listen to all the facts. I mean, we listened to two individuals. I think there's more to this that needs to be explored and find exactly the details of one. As such, if it's the final comment, that's what you, okay, as such, I am requesting this time that we, if possible, we can table this item right now on the, 61B, is that B?
Correct.
Until we get some more information, but hopefully we can do it in executive session, that we don't have to air the dirty laundry out
So
here.
So are you making a motion, sir?
I make a motion that we table that until further details are developed and specifics are brought up in executive session instead of out here in the.
Well,
I
sir,
have a motion, I have a motion by Mr. Chirinos to
I have a
postpone
concern because why was
61B until the next regular scheduled board meeting. Do I have a second?
But we need
You
to
can appeal it.
61A.
Do I have a second?
cannot believe it.
I'll second it. I will momentarily open the floor for a vote. And we may vote.
What was that, to table it?
And the motion passes, 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Next scheduled school board meeting is on Tuesday, August 6, 2013. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr.
Second.
Powers, second by Mr.